I spent countless years of my life trying to sugarcoat the truth, trying to find ways to say things in the least offensive way. But I've now come to a point where I've accepted that when you live in a culture that is in love with the lie, they have been sold the lie as truth. When you do speak truth to power, individuals are going to feel offended because they have been conditioned to feel offended and because they've been told that that truth is the enemy, when in truth, it is the very thing that will save their lives. And so here we are with the truth as it is. We have been lied to. More specifically, we've been lied to about this idea of quote unquote hookup culture. We were told that hookup culture was supposed to be a positive in our society. We were told that, in order for you to liberate yourself, to empower yourself, to free yourself, to take control of your life, you must throw yourself headfirst into hookup culture. As men, we were taught that in order for you to be a man, in order for you to have value, in order for you to be a somebody, you must throw yourself into hookup culture. And now we're finding ourselves on the other side of that. And I'm so thankful for the existence of social media for this one reason. You can't hide the true opinions of people anymore. People are going to talk so long as they have an outlet to talk. People are going to say things that are counterculture when you give them a platform to speak. And I have now heard countless stories of young men, young women, grown men, grown women, or older men, older women speaking on what the byproduct, what the true effects of hookup culture have been within their own lives. And it's been nothing sweet. Now, there are some who still gonna lie, who still are telling a story, or there's some who so deeply traumatized that they're still buying into the very same thing that's creating a majority of the problems in their lives. They're wondering why relationships don't work out. They're wondering why they feel undervalued. They feel a sense of deep shame. They feel worthless. They feel as if they cannot even respect themselves. We've had people leave industries such as, the adult film industry. I believe you can use that on YouTube. The adult film industry, right? People who have left that sector and are now speaking out to say this was degrading. I feel worthless. I feel valueless. And I'm not just talking about how society views you, right? That's one thing. I'm talking about how we view ourselves. Because we're always trying to pin it on society. Well, I'm being shamed by people. If it wasn't for people, I wouldn't feel the way that I do. That's not true. The reason you feel the way that you do when you are giving away your most valuable, physical resource is because it is unnatural. Us as brothers, we like to give a whole lot of ideas when we're making excuses, right? Well, the man produces this much, so therefore the man must be, he must have 13 wives. And I'm like, brothers, okay, half of y'all shouldn't even have one at this point, just to be straight up, right? And this goes both ways. I'm not this anti-man. I'm not bashing men. I'm not going to bash women. I want us to have healthy relationships. I want us to have, these dynamic, uplifting relationships, the true quote unquote soulmate relationship. I desire that for all of us, right? Individually, not for all of us to be in one. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all, I don't know where you at with that. That is my deepest desire because I know that builds a culture that is a healthy culture, right? When the household is sustainable or when the household is uplifted, then each individual in the household is uplifted and therefore the village or the community is uplifted and therefore, the entire environment actually benefits from that. And the more that we perpetuate that idea, the more we start to solve the deepest, quote unquote, systemic problems within our system or within our culture or within our communities in essence. But I want to get back to this thing of hookup culture. Hookup culture, hookup culture, hookup culture. We have been sold a damn lie. You were told that this was going to empower you when in truth it was stripping away the very power you had. Because as opposed to claiming your power, claiming your value, you gave it away. And again, the reason I know this message can sometimes feel offensive is because we feel blamed when we hear this. We can't hear it with pure ears, right? We can't hear it from a place of, oh man, this is somebody who loves me. Many of us haven't been raised in a household where we have a loving, mother or father, a loving uncle or auntie, loving grandma and grandpa who would tell us the truth no matter what. Them old school type ones who said, baby girl, baby boy, this ain't it. this ain't it. This is not going to serve you. This is not going to help you. Maybe it came from a place of anger in your household. Maybe it was retaliation. Maybe they were adding to the very destruction. Maybe they were trying to sabotage you in the same way they sabotage themselves. So they tell you to go do the same thing. Like, that's what I feel when I hear these stories of mothers and fathers telling their sons and daughters to go out and do the very thing that was destructive to them. Oh, just go out there and have fun. What does that mean? You mean go? So for me, like, I was an addict from the age of 14 to the age around 19, right? And I left that lifestyle, and I lost 3 of my brothers to that. And I don't mean just lost them as far as I had no contact. I mean, they are no longer on this earth. They are in a box right now because of the life that was, quote unquote, just having fun. And one of my boys' mamas, she was, you know what? They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to learn. As opposed to continuously speaking the truth. Instead of enabling that behavior, saying, hey, absolutely not. And continuing to encourage better and better behaviors. Now, I'm not going to blame, her, because it's always an individual decision that we're making. When it's all said and done, we are making our own decisions, right? And that is true power. True empowerment is to say, I have control over my thoughts that affect my emotions, that affect my actions. I can affect the results of my life. And instead of just throwing in the towel and giving in and, taking what seems to be this easy route, which actually leads to destruction, instead taking back our power in a very real way, but instead we buy into this myth, we buy into this lie, and it leads to the very opposite of what we desire. Most people who are throwing themselves into this said hookup culture, just like anybody else, want a relationship. We all want to be loved at the end of the day. We all want to be cared for and valued at the end of the day. I don't care what anybody tells you. These youngins will get slick with you. They will tell you all sorts of things just like we all used to when we're young. Well, real young. I mean, yes, I'm still young. I'm 28 years old at this point, but they will tell you anything in order to safeguard themselves from the trauma that they are avoiding to deal with. They're not willing to go deep yet. They're afraid to resolve the unresolved. Because when you see that culture, it is a culture based off of trauma. It's not normal. And we are pushed the propaganda that sells us the very solution to the problem that they are perpetuating. So they sell us these ideas through media. They sell us these ideas through music. I grew up on hip hop music. I used to think that hip hop artists were gods in an essence. Now I can't even respect the majority of them. I don't pedestalize any of them, but I can't even respect most of them because they don't give a damn about their community. They don't give a damn about themselves, so they can't give a damn about their community. They don't care about their own kids, so they can't give a damn about the community. So when they're selling you these ideas, hot girl, hot boy, when they're selling you these ideas, thug life, when they're selling you these ideas, they're not selling these ideas because they care about you. They're selling it to perpetuate an idea. They're perpetuating their own trauma, and then they're monetizing their trauma, and then you become a part of that cycle, and now you end up in the very same place that, they are, more deeply traumatized, just with no money for it. That's the difference. With nothing to show for it besides misery and jadedness towards the world and a deeper sense of self-victimhood. I'm not saying people don't get victimized. Don't get me wrong on that. But there is a certain level of when we're making decisions that are continuing to perpetuate a cycle of trauma, we end up in a place somewhere down the road when the veil's lifted off our eyes and we have to see life for what it is, where we have to pin that blame now on somebody because it feels too painful to own it for ourselves. And I promise you this, and this is the message I feel is just as important. It is never too late to reclaim your dignity. It is never too late to reclaim your self-respect, even though the rest of the world may be calling you all kinds of things because of your track record, because of your history. Even though that may be the case, you must find within yourself an ability to validate, in yourself an ability to find that sense of worthiness, Because so long as you are looking to others, you're going to end up doing what others do. You're going to go down the paths and the roads that they do, and you will get the very results that those people get. Not only that, but you will be condemned to what they believe about you. You know, some of these individuals who leave these sorts of lifestyles, and people know their history because their history was public. And their deepest shame is that everybody else sees what they are, you know? Now they're trying to look for future opportunities. First and foremost, again, that's the byproducts. Like, hopefully this is a telltale sign for, or this is a story of caution for some, to say, just simply don't go down that road and you won't have those consequences. Again, I have 3 brothers. One of them I had to bury this year. You understand me? Who I call my brothers, the ones that were with me every single day of my life. These were my guys. But I had to leave that life at a certain point because I was going to end up where I knew that this was leading to, and that's where they ended up. And if I had made a decision to keep going down that road, I would have gotten the very same result. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I guarantee it. I would not have been here talking to you, period. And so you don't have to go down that road. But if you already find yourself having gone down that road, this ain't about shaming. This ain't about pointing or pinning blame. This ain't about you're in trouble now. Yes, you're going to have some people who have a perception about you. Yes, you're going to have people who are going to judge you. But that doesn't mean that you need to double down on the lifestyle. It doesn't mean you double down on the very thing that was, destructive to yourself. Because it's you're dealing with when it's all said and done. They're going to have to go to sleep in their own bed, in their own household, and take care of their own business. You're going to have to do the same for yourself. And so you have to be okay with yourself. You have to get to a place of healing, recognizing that you are still valuable and you're still worthy. Now, is there going to be work to be done? Absolutely. I'm never going to negate that. We are valuable intrinsically, but in order for us to get a different result out of life, in order for us to have a different life experience, we have to move differently. What did Einstein say? He said, insanity, or the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. These are the facts. That's a bar, Mr. Einstein. In order for you to get a different life circumstance, you must do something different. So yes, you're going to have to move different. I finally, I realized I want a family. I want to be a husband. I realize I want to be a wife. I want a healthy relationship dynamic. Okay, perfect. If you've never experienced that before, you're going to have to go through the process of healing. You're going to have to do the work. As simple as that. You can't step out here and say, okay, I've been living this way for this long. My brain is wired a certain way. So, today I'm choosing that I'm going to have a... No, it doesn't work that way. The movie sold you that too. They say you can go from, a mentality and energy of toxicity, dysfunction, and then all of a sudden somebody can step in and save you. That's not reality. Reality is you must save yourself in order to even be able to be in a relationship that is healthy, that is functional. Because if today, let's say you just walked off them streets, and you know what I mean by walked off the street. You just walked off them streets today, and you say, okay, today I choose to be in a healthy relationship. It's not going to work because your conditioning and your programming is so deeply embedded in the things that you've been doing and the way in which that you've been living. You can't even bond to an individual. You can't even be in a peaceful relationship dynamic and it feel natural or normal. You will find ways to self-sabotage. You could find the most peaceful woman, the most peaceful man. It does not matter. This could be, an individual made of solid gold through and through. And you will still find a way to sabotage it because you have been living in a certain way. This does not mean I am doomed and I must go back to the way I've been living before. No. It means I have to take the time and devote the energy, the focus, and the intention to become what I've always been, which is to value myself. And you can't just say, oh, I respect myself, and let that be, and believe that to be the truth just because you said it. We live in that culture as well. It's like, I make music. I put out music on damn near daily basis. I'm making music every single day. I'm creating content every single day. If I came up to you and I said, you asked me, oh, what do you do? And I said, I make music, I make content. And you said, oh, can you show me something? Well, I haven't really created any content yet. Okay, can you show me a song? Well, I haven't really recorded any songs yet. But I'm getting there. If I told you that, I'm lying in essence. I'm lying to myself and I'm lying to you, right? I am not yet that. I have aspirations. I have desires to be that, but I'm not yet that. And so you can tell yourself that I am hubby material, I'm wifey material all day long. But if the receipts don't match, you're just not there yet, and that's okay. And that's why we're here. We're here to help one another, to be like, okay, let's start taking those necessary steps to become that, right? Let's start weaning away from that and doing more of this. If I just sat here all day long and told myself till the cows came home that I'm a content creator, I'm creating content, and I never click that record button, boom, boom, it's cap. But that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm a terrible person. It doesn't mean I don't deserve love. I'm already loved. It just means I must now take the necessary steps to fulfill the thing that I desire. It's really as simple as that. If you begin today to move in a way in which you respect yourself and cultivate that self-respect and cultivate a sense of self-love, which, by the way, produces real fruits in your life. When you are truly in a place where you are devoted to loving yourself, it's going to show up in the way in which you treat yourself. You're not going to destroy your body. You're not going to put foods into your body, that aren't going to serve you, that aren't going to bring you to an optimal or your very best health, that aren't going to add to your energy as opposed to stripping energy when you're in a place where you respect yourself. You're going to give your time, energy, and attention to the things that serve you as opposed to deplete you. And sometimes the thing that we fear most is simply the ones around us leaving us, no longer being a part of our life experience. We might be afraid of leaving that lifestyle. Like me, it was easier for me to actually get off, the chemical dependency, off the drugs, than it was to get out of those groups of individuals. That sounds crazy to some people, but it's the truth. It was way harder leaving the people because I identified myself with them. Now I felt like I had no sense of quote unquote belonging. Who am I now? And now I got to deal with the person I had become up until that point. Now I have to face the reality of this thing and what it has caused within my relationship dynamics, within myself, more importantly, right? How it has delayed certain aspects of my life and things that I wanted to do. But as soon as I take responsibility of that, as soon as I take accountability of that, everything changes. Everything changes at that moment because now I am empowered, you see. And that's what they don't want you to step into. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to even sniff that out, and they damn sure don't want you to step into that because they know as soon as you start to take responsibility of your own life and you start to make decisions that serve you, you no longer need to buy their foolishness. You don't need to buy into their ideas and therefore their products. They want you to continue to stay in this depressive cycle, right? They want you to perpetually be in a cycle where you're buying and you're buying and you're buying and you're buying your way out of these problems. And you're going to the surgeons and you're fixing things up and you're changing things that never needed to be touched in the first place because you're already enough and you're already valuable, period. They want you to go out there and augment your body and augment your lifestyle in order for you to feel like a somebody because they sold you the bill of goods that you are not a somebody. And so again, when I speak of hookup culture, it's the conditioning is so deep, especially on these college campuses, etc. They make it a part of their identity. You think that's a coincidence? Because once you identify with something, you will defend that thing to the very grave. I promise you that. I was ready to defend my addictions to the grave. I remember having a yelling match with my pops, and I said, I don't care if this thing takes my life. I don't care. Like, I went off. Because I was so given over to that lifestyle, that identification was who I was. And looking back, I'm now like, damn, bro, like that was the very thing that was bringing the most misery in your life and you were defending it. And that's how you're going to see this situation. And maybe you already are. And if you are in that place, I'm so thankful. I'm so happy for you. You understand me? I'm so happy for you because this is what it is to live a real life. When you realize that to truly have fun, fun has been sold to us. I'm probably gonna make a whole video on that. Like this idea of fun, right? We've been told that, going to the club, getting ratchet, going to these parties, whatever. And again, I'm not judging that lifestyle. You do what you do because you grown. But again, I was 15 almost 14 years old when I first started partying. We were in them parties. We were function after function from a Friday to a Sunday when we had school. Some days on a damn weekday at night times. Any party that we could find, 3, 4 a night. One gets cracked, we go to the next. One gets cracked, we go to the next. And we believed that was fun. But yet, when I look back, I was like, bro, most of the time I was bored, out of my mind. I was miserable. That's how I was drowning myself out. This was like, it felt pointless a lot of the time. But I couldn't admit that because I was supposed to see it as fun. I couldn't go on a hike. What? That's lame. Why would somebody go on a hike? That's dumb. Why would somebody walk on purpose? What? Up? No, absolutely not. Why would I go? You know what I mean? Like, why would I do anything besides try to get the attention of these chicks right now? Why would I do anything besides that? That was my mentality because that's what I was conditioned into believing, right? That's all the messaging I ever received. But at a certain point, I realized I am the one who's in control now. I'm not a child anymore, you know? And when you're no longer a child, you no longer do as the children do, hopefully. You mature, you elevate, you graduate from that psychology of just soaking in all information and essentially, you know, rejecting nothing, just accepting everything as true that you are told, as opposed to taking back your true power, to truly be empowered, which is to think for yourself, to act for yourself, to feel for yourself. Don't let them hijack those aspects of who you are. Tell you who you are and what to do in order for you to be satisfied in this life, in order for you to be valuable or enough in this life. I made a video recently. You make sure to go check that out. It's called Attention is Not Love. It's not. Attention is not love. I don't care how much positive attention you are getting from any said individual, just because they're looking, just because they're initiating, just because they're laying, doesn't mean they love. And so long as you believe that, you will continue to find yourself in the very same predicament that is bringing you the most amount of suffering, period.
It's unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated.